Okay, you're welcome to this channel once again. My name is Akinwale, and I will be speaking on the Digital Operational Resilience Act, DORA, which is a regulation in EU, which would take effect from 17 January 2025. I've been doing some mini series on this regulation, and my objective is to be able to explain the regulation to uh, people that will be writing the certification exams, and also to help individuals that will be saddled with the responsibility of implementing the regulation for the organization, or some of the regulators that will need to interpret the articles in the course of discharging their functions as regulators, or even the auditors that are going to be auditing for compliance. Okay, I've already done some set of videos on chapter one. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly try to do so, and try and check the channel for the past videos I've done on the chapter one from this channel. Okay, so today I'll be looking at the chapter two, which is on ICT risk management. I'm sure you'll have heard of what we call the pillars, or the five pillars of DORA. All right, and one of these key pillars is ICT risk management. Okay, in this section, we'll be looking at the chapter two, and we'll be looking at the several articles that make up the ICT Risk Management Chapter 2. They actually range from Article 5 to Article 16. If you look at the screen, you'll see that I have Article 5 to Article 10. I decided to break this video into two, the ICT risk management into two, so that we'll be able to have enough time to address each article very well. So in this video, we'll be looking at Article 5 to Article 10. All right, now Article 5 is on governance and organization. We're very synonymous with COBIT, uh, governance and management. COBIT separated governance from management. Also, COSO also talk about the five elements or components of internal control, and one of them is the control environment. ISO 27001 uh, talk about leadership. Okay, that's those five. Okay, when it comes to implementation of these standards. Okay, ISO 31000 also talk about leadership and leadership commitment. That is clause 5 of ISO 31000. So you will see across all these standards and framework, leadership is very focal, right? Very central, very germane to the implementation of these standards and frameworks. Okay, so Article 5 is also emphasizing this governance and organization. And the regulation says, for the purposes of the first paragraph, the management body shall bear the ultimate responsibility for managing the financial entities ICT risk. So that places that on the table of the leadership of the financial entity. All right. When it comes to accountability, the ultimate responsibility for managing ICT risk. All right. The regulation says that ultimate responsibility or accountability, we should be asking the management body of the organization. All right. So the management body shall put in place policies that aim to ensure the maintenance of high standards of availability, authenticity, integrity, and confidentiality of data. In the previous video, all right, I've explained what we mean by availability. So availability means services should be up and running. when needed. Authenticity means we should be able to uh, determine who did what. We should be able to identify people. We should be able to identify machines. All right. We should be able to identify initiators of transactions, of activities within the system. That's authenticity. All right. Integrity means, all right, values should be valid. All right. Balances should be authorized. All right. Modifications should be authorized. Okay. That's what integrity is talking about. Of course, confidentiality is talking about the fact that people that are not authorized to have access to information should not have access to that information, basically. So we should have policies in place to address all these. That's what that line is saying. And of course, policies are instrument of governance, like I say in my training classes. Policies must be approved by the highest level of management. Policies, addresses the philosophy of management. Policies must be communicated. Policies must be reviewed at uh, planned intervals and when there's a major change in the organization. All right. Policies should be updated when needed, when necessary. So policies must be approved, all right, must be put in place by management of the financial entity. That's what this line is saying. All right. Uh, I also mentioned earlier about the keyword shall in this regulation. So just like in the ISO, the requirement standards 27,001, 22301, 20,000, part one, 14,001, and so on. All those are requirement standards, and all of them have that verb shall. You see that shall, all right, uh, repeatedly across these requirement standards. And no, it means that take notes, all right, this is a compliance requirement. And so we're having shall in DORA also, so which is saying there is a compliance requirement, all right. So the regulation says management bodies shall set clear rules and responsibility for all ICT related functions and establish appropriate governance arrangement to ensure effective and timely communication, cooperation, coordination among those functions. So we talk about the three lines of defense, all right? So we have the internal control function set up by the leadership of the organization. We have the risk management function, a second line of defense. We have the compliance function, a second line of defense. Then we have the assurance function as the third line of defense. So that's what this is saying. And of course, the three lines of defense are being, the oversight of the three line of defense, is managed by the management body, by the leadership of the financial entity. So we need to have the right departments, the right units, the right functions, the right roles, the right committees, okay, and handshakes across the financial entity to ensure, ICT risk management. So this will vary from organizations to organization. Remember the Article 4 talk about the principle of proportionality, all right? So then you said the management body shall bear the overall responsibility for setting and approving the digital operational resilience strategy as referred to in Article 6, paragraph 8, including the determination of the appropriate risk tolerance level or of ICT risk of the financial entity. Now, all right, so we have risk appetite, we have risk tolerance. Risk appetite is the level of risk that the organization is willing, all right, to take, all right, the level of loss the organization is willing to absorb in the pursuit of business. The keyword is willing. All right. Risk tolerance is the level of risk above, all right, a variation, all right, above the risk appetite which the organization is still willing to accept, all right, in the pursuit of business objectives. So the risk tolerance level, all right, being a variation of that is above the risk appetite definitely must be set by management, must be approved by management. All right, so that's what we are saying here. Okay, the management body shall approve, oversee, and periodically review the implementation of the financial entities ICT business continuity policy and ICT response and recovery plans referred to respectively in Article 11, Paragraph 1 and 3, which may be adopted as a dedicated specific policy forming an integral part of the financial entity's overall business continuity policy and response and recovery plan. So what's this requirement talking about? All right. So it's talking about the fact that the business continuity policy of the organization and the ICT response and recovery plans of the organization must be approved by the leadership of the financial entity, and not just being approved. It's not one-off, right? You have to periodically review it, right? Recommend, at least once a year, or when there is a major internal change or there's a major external change. Okay. So you see ISO 22301 here, BCMS. You see ISO 27035 here, incident management. All right. So they're saying that the management of the organization cannot stand aloof from business continuity management system, cannot stand aloof from incident response planning and management. Okay, so that's what it's saying. So the management, the leadership of the financial entity must have the business continuity policy on their desk periodically, must have the incident ICT response and recovery plans, or disaster recovery plan if you win, all right, on their desk periodically. All right. So to ensure that, if there is if there's a disruption or there is a disaster, all right, they can respond, they can survive, and that's the essence of resilience, basically. Okay, the management body shall approve and periodically review the financial entities, ICT, internal audit plans, ICT audits, and material modifications to them. Now, basically, internal audit is actually, the responsibility of the board of directors, fundamentally. All right, but the board of directors, how many times do they sit in a year? All right, so they can't really pragmatically do internal audit. So what do? They kind of do an internal sourcing, all right? They delegate that function, they delegate that role, all right, to the internal audit function through the internal audit charter. Okay, so what this requirement is saying is that the ICT internal audit plan must be assigned off by the financial entity's top leadership, all right? Audit plans, audit programs, any change to those plans and programs the leadership of the financial entity must be in the know. All right. So this is what the requirement is talking about there. That the leadership of the financial entity shall allocate and periodically review the appropriate budget to fulfill the financial entity's digital operational resilience needs in respect of all type of resources, including relevant ICT security awareness programs and digital operational resilience training are referred to in Article 13, Paragraph 6. So you see, I can map this to clause 7 of ISO 27001, right? Clause 7 support, 7.1 resources, 7.2 competence, 7.3 awareness. So I can see 7.1, 7.2, 7.3 here, right, of ISO 27001. I can do that mapping easily. So resources must be made available, right, by management. Of course, a lot of resources are needed for digital operational resilience, all right. Business continuity, strategies and solutions, technologies, all these things cost money. Okay, so we need to have resources for that. We need to have training, regular training on digital operational resilience for all the workers. Okay, we need to have regular awareness, all right, for ICT security awareness for all the workers, all right, in the financial entities. Okay, so this is what this requirement is talking about. All right, the top leadership of the financial entity shall approve and periodically review the financial entity's policy on arrangements regarding the use of ICT services provided by ICT third party service providers. So what is saying, all right? How do you onboard your third party, vendors, ICT vendors? How do you evaluate them? How do you retain them? What are the factors you're using for evaluation? What are the factors you're using for managing risks that outsourcing brings to your organization? The board, the leadership of the financial entity must lead, all right, these initiatives. That's what this is talking about. So, as management of policy documents, all right, policy manuals on ICT third-party risk management must be signed off and reviewed regularly by the top leadership of the financial entity. All right, the top leadership of the financial entity shall put in place at corporate level reporting channels, enabling it to be duly informed of the following. It's talking about reporting, arrangements concluded with ICT third-party service providers on the use of ICT services, any relevant plan material changes regarding the ICT third-party service providers, the potential impact of such changes on the critical or important functions subject to those arrangements, including a risk analysis summary to assess the impact of those changes and at least major ICT-related incidents and their impact as well as response, recovery, and corrective measures. So, talking about ISO 1000, talk about communication and consultation. All right. So, and it also talk about reporting. All right. That is that's clause 6 of ISO 31000. All right. So, here also in DORA, the DORA is stating that the leadership of the financial entity need to create reporting channels. All right. And for the reporting of those listed issues. Okay. Then you look at paragraph 3 of Article 5. It says financial entities other than micro enterprises shall establish a rule in order to monitor the arrangements concluded with ICT third-party service providers on the use of ICT services, all right, or shall designate a member of senior management as responsible for overseeing the related risk exposure and relevant documentation. So we need to have a role, we need to have an individual, we need to have maybe a unit or a department, all right, that will monitor service level agreements. That's what it's talking about. Service level agreement made with ICT vendors, all right, contracts, all right, the contents, the requirement, provisions, contractual requirements, all right, contractual provisions with in contrast with this ICT third-party service provider. So line by line, we need to have somebody responsible to ensure that the details of those contracts are being complied with by the ICT vendors. Wonderful, just wonderful. That's what this paragraph 3 of Article 5 is talking about. All right, okay, here I put a note, because the regulation says other than micro enterprises. So we need to know what are micro enterprises. So a micro enterprise is a financial entity which employs fewer than 10 employees and an annual turnover or balance sheet below 2 million euros. Simple. That is what a micro enterprise is according to DORA. Then you have the paragraph 4 of Article 5. Members of the management body, all right, of the financial entity shall, look at that keyword shall again, actively keep up to date with sufficient knowledge and skills to understand and assess ICT risk and its impact on the operations of the financial entity, including by following specific training on a regular basis commensurate to the IC risk being managed. So what this means is that when you are being audited or when you are being examined by the regulators, they are going to be asking for the evidence of training for the directors of the organization, all right, on ICT risk management. All right, this is very key. Even though, a lot of revolutionary changes are happening here, we're having younger executives, younger CEOs, we're having younger CROs, younger CFOs, all right, all over the place, all right. Even the older generations or older generations of leaders in the financial sector are doing a lot to catch up. The challenge is most of this leadership are actually coming from business background, finance, accounting, business management, and other social science background, and it sometimes tech become a challenge. All right, for many of them, all right, tech become and it's a big challenge in many organizations. When you have directors, you have EDs, executive directors, non-executive directors, chairman of the board that does not really have IT appreciation. All right, so you have ICT risk actually staring them in the face, but they don't understand. They can't process it. Like I said, this has changed a lot, in recent times, but there's still a lot to need to be done, and that's what Dora is saying here. We need to have objective evidence, all right, that the leadership of the financial entity are sufficiently trained on identification, analysis and evaluation of ICT risk. So we need HR to help us out here, all right, to ensure that there is all year round training, all right, for the directors of the financial entities in EU or when as relate to ICT risk management. Okay, so that's chapter article 5 for you. So you can see basically it has uh one, two, one, two, three, and four paragraphs. So that's on governance and organization. So basically, this is for the leadership of the financial entities, the body, the requirements that DORA has placed on them. All right, so I believe this is easy to grab for every one of us watching this video. If you have questions, please let's talk on the comment section. Post your questions. Within on the comment section, I'll be able to answer your questions within 24 hours. All right, so that is Article 5. So let's just move to Article 6, which is the ICT Risk Management Framework. So Article 6, paragraph 1 says financial entities shall have a sound, comprehensive, and well-documented ICT risk management framework as part of their overall risk management system, which enables them to address ICT risk quickly, efficiently, and comprehensively, and to ensure high level of digital operational resilience. All right, so people need to be guided, right? So we need to have a risk management framework, all right, on ICT, all right, every aspect of ICT, all right, how those risks are to be identified, how those risks are to be analyzed, how those risks are to be evaluated, and even the response, right, the response for to those risks. All right. So basically, that's what the risk management framework is going to address. All right. The risk appetite of the organization need to be known to all and sundry. On reception, you should be able to know the risk appetite of the organization you're working for. You should be able to know what activities are acceptable, what activities are not acceptable. All right. When it comes to ICT risk management. So we need a document, basically. We need a document that guides everybody in the organization. So that is what uh, paragraph 1 is talking about. Paragraph 2 says the ICT risk management framework shall include at least strategies. Now they're telling us now, like we said, they are basically they are telling us the contents of what they're expecting you to have in the ICT risk management framework. So you should need to have strategies. You need to have policies. You need to have procedures. You need to have ICT protocols. You need to have tools that are necessary to duly and adequately protect all the information assets and ICT assets. including computer software, you see. Just before I started this video today, I've been doing a lot of research, on use of artificial intelligence for fraud prevention and detection, right? I just did a study on AWS SageMaker, how AWS is using artificial intelligence, all right, for fraud detection, all right, on their platform. So you have many organizations who also doing a lot of investment, all right, on using artificial intelligence to be able to identify fraud, suspicious transactions or transactions that are likely to be fraudulent. All right, so this is what this paragraph 2 is talking about. All right. So what makes up your framework, right? The things that make up your framework are the strategies you have, the policies you have, the procedures you have, the protocols, ICT protocols that you are using. All right. So where you have a platform that you are using for online payments, all right, HTTP will not be enough, of course. You can't be relying on HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol for a payment platform. So you're looking at HTTPS, right? You're looking at HTTPS. You're looking at use of uh, uh, TLS. All right, you're looking at the use of TLS and so on. All right, so we are looking at uh okay, remote login. All right, you have remote workers. You have workers working remotely. You are looking at virtual private network, VPN. So basically, all these documents, your protocols that are using, the tools that you have for, to enhance your risk management system. All right, these are the things we're talking about. The software you have, the hardware you have, the servers you have, all right, as well as to protect all relevant physical components and infrastructures, such as premises, data centers, sensitive designated areas, to ensure that all information assets and ICT assets are adequately protected from risk, including damage and unauthorized access or usage. All right. So even your physical assets need to be protected. All right. I remember some time ago I was told to come and do a presentation on computers as commodities. And so, I was part of my presentation. I wanted to talk about, how laptops get stolen, right? And from there, they get found in the black market, all right, to be sold all over the world. But I discovered to my surprise in the course of researching for that presentation, that even servers get stolen. I said, what? I was shocked. All right, servers get stolen. The servers get stolen. All right, especially for the information on them. So what do you have in place for physical security? All right, so that is basically a comprehensive framework, risk management framework to ensure the security of your information asset. That's what Article 2 is. Article 6, paragraph 2 is talking about. Article 6, paragraph 3 says, in accordance with the ICT Risk Management Framework, financial entities shall minimize the impact of ICT risk by deploying appropriate strategies, policies, procedures, ICT protocols, and tools. They shall provide complete and updated information on ICT risk and on their ICT risk management framework to the competent authorities upon their request. So you have to have objective evidence, like I said, all right, to demonstrate to the competent authorities that you have a very solid uh, uh, ICT risk management framework to protect uh, your information assets from these ICT risks. Okay, so paragraph 4 says financial entities other than micro enterprises, all right, shall assign the responsibility for managing and overseeing ICT risk to a control function All right, so that's talking about, the three lines of defense again. All right, and ensure an appropriate level of independence of such control function in order to avoid conflict of interest. So whatever control function you are going to set up, all right, you have to be able to ensure that they are free to work. They are free to work. So it's just like you have information security as a control function. Then that information security is reporting to the CIO. It is happening in many organizations, but it's not going to be really effective, basically. So you have the head of information security reporting to the head of IT. All right. There will be challenges for sure. All right. Um, so, or you have the chief risk officer, maybe by order of seniority, reporting to the CIO, right? It's not going to work. So financial entities shall ensure appropriate segregation and independence of ICT risk management functions, control functions, and internal audit functions according to the three lines of defense model. I keep on talking about that three lines of defense. All right, so you have the internal control functions set up by the leadership of the financial entity. You have the second line of defense, which is the risk management function and compliance function. You have the third line of defense, which is actually internal audit. Okay, so we need to have those set up and they need to be independent and free to work. All right, paragraph 5 of Article 6 says the ICT risk management framework shall be documented. So we need that document, we need everything you have in place documented and reviewed at least once a year or periodically in the case of a macro enterprises, as well as upon the occurrence of major ICT related incidents. All right. And following supervisory instructions or conclusions derived from relevant digital operational resilience testing or audit process. Right? It shall be continuously improved on the basis of lessons derived from implementation and monitoring. A report of the review of the ICT risk management framework shall be submitted to the competent authority upon its request. So, which means every financial entity in EU is expected to have a document or a set of documents which are going to be called the ICT risk management framework, and there must be evidence that that document or set of documents are being reviewed at least annually or when there is a major change. Okay. All right, paragraph 6 of Article 6. The ICT risk management framework of financial entities other than micro enterprises shall be subject to internal audit by auditors on a regular basis in line with the financial entities audit plan. Those auditors shall possess sufficient knowledge, skills, and expertise in ICT risk, as well as appropriate independence. The frequency and focus of ICT audit shall be commensurate to the ICT risk of the financial entity. Remember Article 4, the principle of proportionality is to be applied there. So, uh, the the regulation is assuming that you have internal auditors. It's just assumed that you have internal auditors. All right. So which means a financial entity, all right, uh, other than micro enterprises, all right, is expected to have internal auditors. That's what it means. Or if you are going to outsource it, okay, all right, but you have to be able to submit evidence that you are audited regularly, uh, at a frequency which is optimum, all right, for that financial entity based on the nature, type, size of the financial entity. So we need to have internal audits. Then, of course, the internal auditors also need to have the relevant certifications, relevant skills, relevant experience, which are auditable, all right, to be able to assure us that they know what they are doing. That is what Article 6 of Article 6, paragraph 6 is talking about. So Article 6, paragraph 7 is saying, based on the conclusions from the internal audit review, financial entities shall establish a formal follow-up process, including rules for the timely verification and remediation of critical ICT audit findings. So the competent authorities are not only going to confirm you had an internal audit, they're going to check for the follow-up on the recommendations. So what are the findings? The audit findings in the audits, all right. Then what are the status, or what is the status of the findings? All right. Are they especially the major non-conformities? All right. Are they pending? Are they still open? Are they closed? So that is what this paragraph 7 is talking about. So the audit is not meant, internal audit is not meant to just be, a ritual. You need to be able to provide objective evidence that issues raised in the audits have been addressed. All right, that's paragraph 7 of Article 6. All right, paragraph 8 of Article 6 on ICT Risk Management Framework. It says the ICT Risk Management Framework shall include a digital operational resilience strategy, setting out how the framework shall be implemented. To that end, digital operational resilience strategy shall include methods to address ICT risk and attain specific ICT objectives by look at this, explaining how the ICT risk management framework support the financial entity's business strategy and objectives. All right, in COVID, they call that alignment, right? Alignment. So your ICT risk management framework must align, all right, with the business objectives, all right, specifically of that financial entity. You must see that correlation. All right, by establishing the risk tolerance level for ICT risk. All right, I talked about that earlier. So we need to know the risk appetite. We need to know the variance above the risk appetite, which is the tolerance level which the organization can still accept. All right. Also setting up clear information security objectives, including key performance indicators and key risk metrics. All right, so we call it KRI, key risk indicators. So we need to have key risk indicators. We need to have key performance indicators to guide the actors, around the risk management framework, so that we can know when things are going right, when things are going wrong, when things are the same. All right. So, for example, we have what we call lead key risk indicators. These are KRIs that warn us before something happens. All right. We have lag key risk indicators. These are key risk indicators that kind of alert us that a particular risk has crystallized. So this is what this paragraph 8 is talking about. So we need to have a digital operational resilience strategy documented for the organization. All right, that is what paragraph 8 of Article 6 is talking about. All right, explaining the ICT reference on architecture and any changes needed to reach specific business objectives, outlining the different mechanisms put in place to detect ICT-related incidents. I talked about AI the other time, artificial intelligence, machine learning. All right, so we need to document what you have put in place for early detection of these risks. All right, evidencing the current digital operational resilience situation on the basis of the number of major ICT-related incidents reported and effectiveness of preventive measures. So we need to also be able to track the effectiveness of the preventive measures to put in place. For example, we can say, okay, we want to, uh, a particular department should generate reports of major ICT-related incidents on a weekly basis. So that way we can be able to act on time if the maybe if the number of major incidents being reported is becoming too high. All right, like I was reading a report about a particular organization, a refinery. They have fire averagely once a week. All right, averagely once a week on their refinery. They're having, they have fire situation. That's a signal that something terrible was about to go wrong, and it did. All right, with time, it did with time in the organization. All right, implementing digital operational resilience testing in accordance with Chapter 4 of these regulations. So we'll talk about digital operational resilience testing as we continue. All right, outlining the communication strategy in the event of ICT-related incidents, the disclosure of which is required in accordance with Article 14. Like as we soon see, if you have a major incident in your financial entity, you have to report to the competent authorities. All right, if you have significant incidents, you may or may not. All right, so all that we need to document them in the communication strategy, what to report, when to report, who to report to. All right, all those will be in our communication strategy. So, paragraph 9 of Article 6, financial entities may, in the context of the digital operational resilience strategy, refer to in paragraph 8, define a holistic ICT multi-vendor strategy at group or entity level, showing key dependency on ICT third-party service providers and explaining the rationale behind the procurement mix of ICT third-party service providers. So, of course, you'll be encouraged not to depend on one vendor. We talked about ICT concentration risk in the previous video. All right, so we need to define how you are able to spread out your associate risk, right, among several vendors, which will definitely minimize the overall risk of the organization. So that's paragraph 9 of Article 6. All right, financial entities may, in accordance with union and national secretarial law, outsource the task of verifying compliance with ICT risk management requirement to intra-group or external undertakings. So now I mentioned that under internal audits. All right, so if you don't want to uh, do it internally, you can outsource it to maybe a consulting company, an audit firm, external audit firm, and they will do it for you. Why not? All right. In case of such outsourcing, the financial entity remains fully responsible. Now, we say this in outsourcing. You can outsource responsibility, you cannot outsource accountability. So you have to choose your vendor carefully. That's what this is talking about. Okay, so that's Article 6 on ICT Risk Management Framework. Those are the requirements that are listed in the Article 6. So let's talk about Article 7. All right. So you can see it's quite a lot, basically, and that's why I decided I will split this video on ICT risk management into two. So ICT systems, protocols, and tools. What assets do you have? All right, what asset do you have to protect your organization? So in order to address and manage ICT risk, financial entities shall use and maintain updated ICT systems, protocols, and tools that are, all right, appropriate to the magnitude of operations, supporting the conduct of the activities in accordance with proportionality principle. So we're talking about capacity management, right? As 27,001 talk about it, ISO 20,000 talk about it, capacity management. All right, so you want to have use systems, all right, having appropriate memory. All right, you want to use networks having appropriate bandwidth. All right, you want to use resources that have appropriate capacity. All right, to be able to discharge the necessary performance levels. All right, the tools, the systems and protocol must be reliable. And that's why we also test them, right? They must be reliable. They must be equipped with sufficient capacity to accurately process the data necessary for the performance of activities and timely provision of services. And to deal with peak orders. So peak orders is what happens, all right, for example, when everybody logs in on the application. All right, what happens when you receive an exceptionally high order? All right. Like in cloud computing, they talk about elasticity. All right. They talk about scalability. So you need to have an environment that is scalable. That's what that is talking about. All right. Technologically resilient in order to adequately deal with additional information processing needs as required under stressed market conditions. Or adverse situations. All right. So you need to be able to have equipment, all right, environments that can still work under, when you have unusual demand, all right, surge in processing. They have enough computational power, all right, enough computational resources to keep going, even when there are exceptionally high orders, or even when there is disruption. So you need to have built-in resilience, like for example, failovers. So one node goes down, the operations on that node goes to another node. All right, one server goes down, all right, you have a maybe active clustering, or you have active passive clustering rather. All right, so the servers are clustered. One server goes down, the operation, just like you have in in cloud. All right, what is it called? Availability zones. All right, regions. So one availability zone goes down. All right, the operations on the availability zone, all right, move to the other availability zone within the region. Basically, that's what we are talking about here. So resilience, all right. So that's why Article 7 is talking about. You need to have the right systems, you need to have the right protocols, you need to have the right tools to ensure digital resilience. Okay, Article 8 is talking about identification. All right, so I think that has only one. Okay, no, it has more than one. Okay, so it has more than one paragraph. As part of the ICT Risk Management Framework, refer to in Article 6, Paragraph 1. Financial entities shall identify, classify, and adequately document all ICT supported business functions, roles, responsibility, information asset, ICT assets supporting those functions, and their rules and dependencies in relation to ICT risk. Now, you have a standard called ISO 55001. That is the asset management system. You cannot talk about risk management without asset management. Why? Every risk is attacking an asset. There's no risk that is in vacuum. No asset, no risk. All right, no asset, no risk. That's why asset identification, all right, updated asset inventory or information and other asset inventory, like as the 7001 2022 edition calls it, is very key. You cannot protect an asset you don't know where it is. You don't know its value. You don't know who is using it. You don't know what depends on it. It's actually a disadvantage for the organization. So asset inventory is very key. We need to document, all right, our functions, what are the functions, the activity, the organization, what are the roles and responsibility, what are the information assets, what are the ICT assets. All right, that is where risk management starts from. All right, having an updated information and asset inventory. So financial entities shall review as needed and at least yearly the adequacy of this classification and of any relevant documentation. Like I've done quite some ISO audits, and of course 27001, and you always see information on the asset inventory. I've noticed I've never audited an organization that does not have an asset inventory. I've never seen, in my experience, I've never seen it. But what I've seen repeatedly is that the asset inventory is not updated, especially the asset inventory. That's where the challenge is. So you have an asset inventory, but the asset inventory is not updated. And that is what this paragraph 1 is saying. So regularly there must be a frequency that is defined within the organization when the asset inventory will be reviewed and updated. Very important. Paragraph 2. Financial entities shall, on a continuous basis, identify all sources of ICT risk, in particular the risk exposure to and from other financial entities, and assess cyber threats and ICT vulnerabilities relevant to their ICT supported business functions, information assets, and ICT assets. All right. Financial entities as defined in Article 2.A to T shall review on a regular basis and at least yearly the risk scenario impacting them. So what that is saying, you must do risk assessment at least once a year. So there must be an ICT risk assessment done at least once a year. Okay. That's paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, financial entities other than micro enterprises shall perform a risk assessment upon each major change in the network. Look at that, an information system as defined in Article 6. So every time you do a cut over, all right, even if you have done a risk assessment that year, you must do another one. That's what this is saying. All right, you did a major change in your network. All right, you did a major change in your OS. You did a major change in your core application. You must do a risk assessment. Article 3. All right, all right. Article Paragraph 3 rather of Article 8. That's what that is talking about. All right, paragraph 4 of Article 8, identification. Financial entities shall identify all information assets and ICT assets, including those on remote sites. Wonderful. Including those on remote sites, network resources and hardware equipment, and shall map those considered critical. They shall map the configuration of the information assets and ICT assets and the links and interdependencies between the different information assets and ICT assets. So we need to have your asset inventory updated. That's what this is talking about, including the ones you have offsite. Because primarily your attention will be on the assets you have on premise. All right. Yeah. What about so this is a new challenge actually, especially now many organizations are they are using hybrid. All right, so they are partially on premise, partially on the cloud. So if you look at their information on the asset register or asset inventory, what you will see is basically the assets they have on premise. What about the assets you have on AWS, on Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, or Alibaba Cloud? You don't have it. All right. Then the argument here will be, yeah, but some of those assets, so you have instances you have on the cloud that maybe you shut it down, immediately you use it. So how do you, so does that mean you'll be updating your asset inventory every day? No. All right. What I always recommend to clients, yeah, all right, is that you need to have a policy that that states, all right, the frequency of your assets inventory updates, especially for those one that you have on the cloud. So we can agree and say, okay, quarterly, all right, we are going to be updating our information on the asset inventory. All right, so that at a particular point, we know what we have in the cloud. Maybe in the next, we can do it monthly, we can do it quarterly, but there must be a frequency. But we must have a capture of the assets we have, even on the cloud, as well as those we have on premise and on other sites. That is basically what um, paragraph 4 of Article 8 is talking about. Paragraph 5 of Article 8, financial entities shall identify and document all processes that are dependent on ICT third-party service providers and shall identify interconnections with ICT third-party service providers and undertaking providing ICT services that provide services that support critical important functions. So even processes must be documented. All right. So for example, now the new information we have in information security is that your primary assets are actually your business processes and your information. So other things like land, building, all those traditional assets, they are cross-supporting assets, all right, in information security. Your key information is actually your assets. That your key assets are actually your information and your business processes. And this is what this paragraph 5 of Article 8 is saying, that you need to document all your key business processes and interconnections, all right, of those processes with ICT third-party service providers. Okay, paragraph 6 of Article 8, for the purpose of paragraph 1, 4, and 5, financial entities shall maintain relevant inventories, I've talked about that, and update them periodically. And every time any major change, as referred to in paragraph 3 occurs. So if you have a major change, you need to go back to your asset inventory and update it. All right, paragraph 7 of Article 8, financial entities other than micro enterprises shall on a regular basis and at least yearly conduct a specific ICT risk assessment on all legacy ICT system, all right, which is an ICT system that has reached the end of life, that is not suitable for upgrade or fixes for technological or commercial reason, or is no longer supported by supplier or by an ICT third-party service provider. All right, so for all your legacy system, at least once a year, you must do a risk assessment on your ICT assets that are nearing their end of life. That's very important. You don't want to be, you don't want to be uh caught in the middle of the storm. So somebody just put the plug on you. So you have a particular operating system you are using, version of the operating system you are using, and suddenly, the supplier or the OEM stop supporting it. All right. So you have to be doing, a major change, cut over, all right, in an emergency way, which is not right. Okay, so that is what paragraph 7 is talking about. You need to do risk assessment. All right, you need to have an inventory, then you need to do a risk assessment on all your ICT systems that are nearing their end of life. Okay, that's the requirement on paragraph 7 of Article 8. Okay, so that's that on identification. So Article 8 is saying know your assets. Know your assets because your ICT risks are coming for your ICT assets. Basically, that's Article 8. Okay, then Article 9. Okay, protection and prevention. Article 9 paragraph 1. It says, for the purposes of adequately protecting ICT systems and with a view to organizing response measures, financial entities shall continuously, look at that word, continuously monitor and control security and functioning of ICT systems and tools and shall minimize the impact of ICT risks on ICT systems through the development of appropriate ICT security tools, policies, and procedures. Wow. So AI, artificial intelligence, all right, businesses are going to have, they have a lot of sales in EU, all right, seriously from next year, all right. So you expect the growth rate to increase. All right, so businesses selling SIM, right? Security information, event monitoring tools, all right, fraud detection, transaction monitoring, all right, anti-money laundering, uh, transaction monitoring tools. So all those, of course, many organizations are already using these tools, all right, but now we have it officially documented in DORA Article 9, Paragraph 1. Now you need to provide objective evidence of tools you are using for continuous monitoring. Of course, you can't use human beings. You can't use manual processes for continuous monitoring. So basically what this is saying now is that, you just have to deploy tools, all right, to ensure continuous monitoring. All right, paragraph 2 of Article 9, financial entities shall design, procure, and implement ICT security policies, procedures, protocols, tools that aim to ensure the resilience, continuity, and availability of ICT systems, in particular for those supporting critical or important functions, and to maintain high standards of availability, authenticity, integrity, and confidentiality of data, whether at rest, in use, or in transit. So a little bit of repetition, a little bit of emphasis. So they are still emphasizing the fact that you need to have the appropriate documentations, you need to have the right protocols, network protocols, you need to have the right tools, technology, all right, to ensure resilience, to ensure continuity, to ensure availability, all right, in financial entities. All right, paragraph 3 of Article 9 says, in order to achieve the objectives referred to in paragraph 2, financial entities shall use ICT solutions. Like I said, all right, AI tools are going to, really diffuse all over EU, processes that are appropriate in accordance with Article 4. Those ICT solutions and processes shall ensure the security of the means of transfer of data. So you need to have security for data in motion. So of course so you are looking at things like encryption. All right, you're looking at encryption. All right, you're looking at things like tunneling protocols. All right, minimize the risk of corruption or loss of data, unauthorized access, technical flaws that may hinder business activity, prevent the lack of availability, impairment of authenticity and integrity, the breaches of confidentiality and loss of data, ensure that data is protected from risk arising from data management, including poor administration, processing related risk, and human error. So where are the tools, right? Where are the ICT solutions? Where are the processes to ensure that data transfer is secure, to avoid data, corruption of data, to avoid loss of data, all right, unauthorized access to data. So things like, you know, um, data loss prevention tools, all right. So all those need to be deployed, all right, to meet the requirement of these paragraph 9 of, paragraph 3 of Article 9. Okay. As part of the ICT Risk Management Framework referred to in Article 6, Paragraph 1, financial entities shall develop and document an information security policy defining rules to protect the availability, authenticity, integrity, and confidentiality of data, information assets, and ICT assets, including those of their customers, where applicable. So this is talking clearly that you need to have information security policy. All right, following a risk-based approach, establish a sound network and infrastructure management structure, all right, such as using appropriate techniques, methods, and protocols that may include implementing automated mechanisms. You know, I keep on mentioning it. Security information, event monitoring tools are not negotiable now in EU. Use of AI, artificial intelligence, for your risk management framework is not negotiable. All right, implementing automated mechanisms to isolate affected information assets. All right, in the event of cyber attacks. So tools. Implemented policies that limited the physical or logical access to information assets or ICT asset to what is required. You can't hack what you cannot contact, right? So you need to have, physical defense mechanisms, logical defense mechanisms. That's what that is talking about. Implement policies and protocols for strong authentication. So things like two-factor authentication are very key now. So how do you verify users? How do you verify systems before they have access to your network? Access rights management. So that is very key here now. All right. Based on relevant standards and dedicated control systems, protection measures of cryptographic keys. So you need to have a key management policies, key management procedures. Right, that's what it's talking about. Implement documented policy procedures and controls for ICT change management. So we need an ICT change management policy or procedure. All right, including changes to software, hardware, firmware, components, systems, or security parameters that are based on risk assessment approach and are an integral part of the financial entities overall change management process. So this is talking about having change management policy, basically. All right. So changes must be recorded, changes must be tested, changes must be assessed, changes must be approved, changes must be implemented and verified in a controlled manner. Having appropriate and comprehensive documented policy for patch management, update management. We need to have policies for that also. All right. So, for example, patches need to be applied as soon as possible. Patches need to be tested, all right, in the test environment before you deploy in the lab environment. After deployment of patches, you need to do what we call regression testing, right? That the application of the patch has not initiated uncontrolled changes or unwanted changes. All right, so you need to policy document that addresses all that to guide the people in charge of patching. Okay. For the purposes of first paragraph, subparagraph, point B, financial entities shall design the network connection infrastructure in a way that allows it to be instantaneously civil or segmented. So they call it, as 27,001 call it network segmentation. So use of virtual LANs or VLANs to be able to segment the network so that we can easily shut down, uh, a subnet, all right, or a group of subnets that are already exposed to an attack, all right, we can actually be able to shut them down such that the entire network is not at risk. Okay, so this is saying that you need to be able to demonstrate you have network segmentation, all right. For the purposes of the first subparagraph point E, the ICT chain management process shall be approved by appropriate lines of management and shall have specific protocols in place. So chain management process is being re-emphasized there. Then Article 10 is on detection. All right. Financial entities shall have in place mechanism to promptly detect anomalous activities. Now, I keep on saying that, all right, especially in my incident response classes. All right, one of the key things you need to work on when you are preparing, all right, for incident management is the capability to detect. So you can't respond when you don't even know you are under attack. So we need to have tools, we need to have technologies that can alert us, that can warn us that something anomalous is happening, something that is not approved, something suspicious, something abnormal is happening. So financial institutions shall have in place mechanisms to promptly detect anomalous activities in accordance with Article 17, including ICT network performance issues and ICT related incidents. All right. So we need to have in our environment, all right, monitoring systems, monitoring solutions that can be able to alert us, right, that something is going wrong. All detection mechanism referred to in the first subparagraph shall be regularly tested, right, in accordance with Article 25. So how do you know your detection system is working? All right, you don't want to wait until the day of attack. So you need to do tests, you need to do simulations to know whether those detection systems are really working properly. So that is basically what Article 10 is talking about. All right, that you need to have detection systems and you need to test those detection systems to know whether they are working effectively. All right, the detection mechanism referred to in paragraph 1, that's paragraph 3 now, shall enable multiple layers of control. All right, define alert thresholds. All right, so you need to have what do we call that now? Thresholds. All right, we need to have uh, the inputs that will trigger the alerts. So those inputs have to be well defined. Those thresholds that will be that will be met. All right, that will trigger the alerts. This is very key. All right, it's garbage in, garbage out. All right, so the criteria. So we need to determine the criteria that the system should watch out for. All right, before triggering the alert. That is what we have in paragraph 3 of Article 10. All right, paragraph 4 is saying that financial entities shall devote sufficient resources and capabilities to monitor user activities, the occurrence of ICT anomalies, and ICT-related incidents, in particular cyber attacks. So this monitoring of user activities and ICT anomaly, of course, we can still do this manually. So this it takes us back, all right, to monitoring tools, to SIM tools, all right, to file integrity monitoring tools, and so on, which will have sufficient alert capabilities so that once they detect these anomalies, all right, they can actually alert us that something anomalous has happened. So this is very key. All right. Paragraph 4, data reporting service provider shall in addition have in place systems that can effectively check trade reports for completeness, identify omissions and obvious errors, and request retransmission of those reports. Remember that the data reporting service providers in Chapter 1, they are one of the entities, financial entities in the scope, all right, in the scope of DORA. So this is an additional requirement for them that you need to have uh, tools, all right, or system that can help them to check trade reports for completeness. Luckily, AI can do this now, all right. I was reading a report today that, in one organization, all right, AI, okay, the work that 360,000 hours of work was done within seconds by artificial intelligence. 360,000 hours of document review, all right? Document review, loan document review, actually, all right, in one of the banks, all right? I think it was JP Morgan, all right? 360,000 hours of document review was done in seconds by artificial intelligence. So AI tools can definitely help us out to meet this paragraph 4 of Article 10 requirement. So that is the first, that is Article 5 to 10 of the Chapter 2 on ICT Risk Management. Thank you for waiting out with me up to this time. Of course, it's still remaining. We still have more articles. 11 to 16 are still outstanding on ICT Risk Management. In my next video, I'm going to do a video on those articles still on ICT risk management. This is my official email. You can reach out to me if you have questions or queries on some of these things I've discussed in this video, or you can also comment in the comment section. I'm going to reply. You can send me a WhatsApp message. I would like to hear from you on what I have shared, okay, in this training. So today we have looked at one of the pillars, right, of one of the five pillars of DORA, which actually ICT risk management, and we'll be able to look at Article 5 to Article 10. And like I said in subsequent video, I'm going to also look at Article 11 to 16. Thank you.